Chapter 6. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was the first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Then the presidents and the princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find none occasion nor fault, for as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. Then said these men, We shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king, and said thus unto him, King Darius, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree, that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish a decree and sign the writing, that it be not changed, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. Now when Darius knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being opened in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he knelt upon his knees 3 times a day, and prayed, and gave thanks before God, as he did aforetime. Then these men assembled, and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. Then they came near and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man that shall ask a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save of thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, The thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which altereth not. Then answered they and said before the king, That Daniel, which is of the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king, nor the decree that thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. Then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased with himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him, and he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. Then these men assembled unto the king, and said unto the king, Know, O king, that the law of the Medes and Persians is, that no decree or statute which the king establisheth may be changed. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel, and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God, whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. And a stone was brought, and laid upon the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet, and with the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. Then the king went to his palace, and passed the night fasting, nor were there instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. And the king arose very early in the morning, and went in haste unto the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God, whom thou servest continually, able to deliver thee from the lions? Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. My God has sent his angel, and has shut the lions' mouths, that they have not hurt me. For as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. Then was the king exceedingly glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God. And the king commanded, and they brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, and their wives, and the lions had the mastery of them, and brake all their bones in pieces, or ever they came at the bottom of the den. Then King Darius wrote unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, Peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree, that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. He delivereth and rescueth, and he worketh signs and wonders in heaven and in earth, who hath delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius, and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. Cyrus led the attack underneath the walls of Babylon. He was 62 years old at the time, but Darius was the first king, and we really don't know if Darius accepted the promotion to the number 3 ruler that Daniel had. But Daniel certainly was much loved and much respected by both Darius and Cyrus. And it would have been a smart thing at any rate in the long run. Well, we'll get to that at the end. Anyway, they needed Daniel because he had been a governor of the whole, like a counselor, and he had been totally fair and unbiased, and he hadn't been against anybody, just doing his job. Now, there was a petition, there was a law decreed because some of these 120 princes and rulers hated Daniel so bad they wanted to find a way to kill him. And usually that comes about because you get somebody who is so honest, you can't bribe him, and you cannot be corrupt because he will find you out. And that probably was the reason why. That is usually the reason why, is these guys were going to take advantage of the king, and he knew that if Daniel was there as ruler, Daniel would be so honest that nobody would be able to bribe him and take advantage of the king. That's probably why this whole thing was there. Anyway, they passed the law. Darius got Darius to sign it, and saying anybody who prays to any god other than the king, if the king's going to be a god, for 30 days is going to be thrown into the lion's den. Then, of course, Daniel doesn't pay any attention to that, so he going to get thrown into the lion's den. And the king is so upset with himself that he spends the night fasting. He won't be consoled, whatever. They seal his signet seal is on the stone that is there, so that nobody will be able to do anything. If the Lord protects him from the lions, nobody else is going to be able to throw spears or anything else at him, I guess. And in the morning, he very so dolefully goes out, and, "Oh, Daniel, are you okay?" And Daniel says, "Live forever, king. Yeah, I'm fine. The Lord has shut the mouths of the lions." And then Daniel is lifted out, and Daniel's accuser, plus the wives and their children. It would seem unfair to us that the wives and the children would go, but when you're dealing with an absolute monarch and he wants to clean house totally, that's the kind of thing that he does. Now, Daniel served 5 kings. Now, you might point out that putting the wives and the children and even the men in with the lions was not something the Lord authorized Darius to do, or suggested be done, or that Daniel had any control over. This was purely a decision made in fury, probably, by the king. Now, Daniel served 5 of these kings. He served Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar's first successor, called Evil Merodach. Then Belshazzar, who he and his father were co-regents. Then Darius, and then Cyrus. He didn't flatter any. He kept his religious integrity. He was useful for the Jews, and he was useful to the kingdom. He was owned totally by the Lord, and he set such a fabulous example that we, thousands of years later, we're just learning about him and being impressed by him. There's one thing that I would really like to get a message across here, that Daniel is such a rich symbol of. Basically, it's wonderful for you and me as individuals to believe in God, but I think it's even more important that we live like Daniel, such integrity, such righteousness, that God can believe in us. Now, it says that Daniel, at one point, Daniel prayed toward the temple 3 times a day, towards Jerusalem 3 times a day. That was symbolically, that was there for symbolism, so the Jews would know that although he was looking towards the direction that the temple was, that wasn't it wasn't looking towards the temple that was the big thing. It was that his heart, his attitude, his dreams, his hopes, his goals were towards the covenants that he had made in the temple, towards the righteousness that he hoped to exemplify. And that was what looking towards the temple was symbolic of. And that doesn't make any difference which way you look. What matters is where your heart is and where your heart's looking for and the things you're looking towards.